This is Jonathan Ferguson, the Keeper of Firearms and Artillery at the Royal Armouries Museum in the UK, which houses a collection of thousands of iconic weapons from throughout history. And I'm your host, Dave Jewett, and today we are talking about a whole array of weapons from Season 2 of the Fallout TV show. I got goosebumps when this scene happened.
I do love that zoom out along the barrel.
Well, they've done a great job mirroring the shot from the New Vegas intro when it pulls away from Vegas as well. They're so good. Our Patreon exclusive director's cut version of this episode is well over 90 minutes long, as we're diving into all the weird background props of the show too. And as this month is EXP's birthday, you can get that extended episode for 50% off. All new patrons can get their first month for half price by using code BIRTHDAY, or you can get 3 months free by choosing an annual subscription. You can also get 10% off all merch orders at expvideo.info by using code BIRTHDAY10 at checkout, and this includes our limited edition birthday t-shirt. For context, we reviewed episodes 1 to 7 before the release of episode 8, but don't worry, we get into all the wonderful stuff from the finale at the end of the episode. But now, without further ado, it's over to Jonathan.
Something that my brain associates more with the A-Team than the Fallout franchise. We have a Mini 14 in this delightful stainless finish with the sort of strut-style folding buttstock. This is, I think, the same model that she's got. Now, ours isn't drilled or fitted for a scope in any way. That's the major difference. Quite that distinctive muzzle device, the flash suppressor with the ring around the end of they're basically multiple prongs and then they've sort of tacked a ring on the end. And I'm just trying to work out if that's been machined. It definitely looks like it's been, well, I don't know, like heated and slipped over the end of the prongs. So it's the first time I've looked at this really close up.
Can we start like a fake fan theory that they chose that weapon and muzzle because it looks a bit like a Voldor? Can someone just start spreading that information for fun?
Well, that was what I was going to say next, actually. Not the vault door thing. I hadn't even realised that. But the fact that it is quite distinctive. Less so in profile and more kind of as it comes at you. Because of those prongs with the ring around them, rather than a conventional design of either prongs or a bird cage, it does look quite distinctive. And I do wonder if they didn't see that and go, oh, well, that'll look really good, looking like a vault door in the hands of a vault dweller. Interesting theory. I'm prepared that we can spread that around.
It's got enough credence.
Now, this is interesting, and I'd forgotten that this was even in this episode, having watched it when it first dropped and some weeks later. Interesting choice. We just see this get drawn from I guess it's a holster in his boot, and you see the butt of this thing. We've got one here, which will surprise nobody. And you see that much sticking out or something like that. And you've got this sort of foliage style engraving on there. The Ghoul has pulled it out and he's grasping it to fire. Now, I think he's using it. You could, in fact, because this is, spoiler, a knuckle duster. Not really a spoiler. I don't think he uses it as one. But you could slip your middle finger through that ring and use that as the grip. I think Mr. Goggins there is right to not do that and to just sort of try and wrap your hand around, leaving the little spur trigger exposed. And he's got it's kind of hilarious that he's got this sort of modern, quite a good actually, two-handed pistol shooting grip, which means that there's hardly any of the gun visible. I might actually have coached if I was there, coached him to hold it that way and fire it one-handed so you get a better idea of what it actually is. Because from this, if you didn't see him, if you missed him draw it, this doesn't really look like much. That, by the way, so clearly the barrel, well, that's not the barrel, that's the hole in the front of the frame in which the cylinder sits. You can't see, maybe that one isn't engraved like ours is, but ours has some engraving marks there, a little latch there, and an axis pin for the cylinder, little spur hammer with some checkering to let you grab it. So he will have, in theory, thumbed back that hammer So it'll be in that state when he pulls the trigger. Not really a sight, but you do get, if I can get out of my own way there, you do get a sighting groove along the top of the frame. So this is called The Friend, or My Friend, I should say. It's a US made, designed and made piece. And we actually have a couple of, an interesting variation on this. So I think this will be one I return to over on our channel. So it's a bit tiny. So he's returning fire at a rifle, rifle and similar shoulder weapon armed enemies with a tiny little pocket pistol. But what are you going to do if that's what you've got? And that's an amusing still I have of his face.
I was going to say when I made this still while setting these getting these clips together, I was cracking up over the still of his face. I posted it in our Discord. It's
did you?
Like a response image that I use.
It's very good. Now this thing is odd.
Part of me really likes this thing. I think the thing that I like most about it is you can see that it's craft built because you can see the parts that it's made of. It's clearly got like a screwdriver foregrip.
Oh my, yes.
And the body of the weapon is a cross-cut saw.
I've just noticed
they've
that.
Like folded into the body of some AK style rifle.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's cool. And actually, there's something else going on, isn't there, as well? Because it's the barrel assembly of an M79. It's not, I don't think it's the whole, it's not the whole action of an M79. It's just the barrel. There's some other kind of gubbins in the back there with what looks like an AK rear sight. Yeah, I think the glimpse I had of this before, I was kind of rolling my eyes that they've slapped a AK trigger group and magazine onto the bottom of an M79. They haven't done that. They've got what looks like a custom buttstock, maybe sort of salvaged from something else, not sure. Almost looks vaguely Piat. It looks very Fallout, to give them that credit. I don't know what's in the back of it there, but it looks like they've cut the top off a front trunnion of an AK with the sight. That's then sort of sticking in the back of the barrel latch bit of the barrel assembly of the M79, which still has its handguard stuck to the bottom, being a break open shotgun style design. And then, the screwdriver or awl or whatever it is, handle sticking out the bottom. 30 round AK mag, AK pattern wooden pistol grip and trigger assembly and magazine catch. And then, I certainly didn't see this at the time, but the saw as the body. It's actually a really good design. I am sold.
Whichever armourer or prop master was responsible for using the saw, though, I really think that's an inspired choice. That's so good.
There's a Polish AK-based grenade launcher that's a little bit reminiscent to this. So it's using an AK feed system and some parts to essentially launch a grenade out of a barrel. So perhaps that's what this is. That curved AK mag has propelling charges in there, essentially. Rounds with the bullets pulled, maybe some high explosive in there instead of propellant, don't know. And maybe they're muzzle loading a grenade in there, except they can't be because he fires more than one shot. Yeah, that's where this falls down, actually, is if this was going to work in any way, you'd need to break it open, load some sort of munition, close it up, fire, let's say the magazine is full of expelling ballistic type charge rounds, whatever. But that's the other thing in this design and manufacture and prop process is what something is originally sketched or designed up as being isn't necessarily what it ends up being in use in the production, and certainly in post-production where they come in and do their thing. Things can sort of morph and change. So, but broadly, just on the surface level read, it's meant to be something that looks a bit like an AK that blows massive holes in people. So on that level, it does work.
Send those to the clerics for sorting.
Nice little Easter egg of the Cryolator there, the Fallout 4 freeze ray.
I wasn't sure what that was, but I knew from the way that this scene was framed that was from the franchise for sure. They put way too much effort in for it not to be. That seems like a pretty faithful 5mm minigun from New Vegas. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, Fallout 4 specifically, that's where that design is from.
A lot of this stuff is the Fallout 4 version, isn't it? Like, I think even the Power Armour is from that. It makes sense. It's or from 76, maybe. That's the sort of most recent version of the game. The Vault suits, I think, are the Fallout 4 version. It does make some sense to use the most up-to-date designs and then to throw in some vintage ones. So to see it happen in more in parallel with the game franchise, I think is pretty interesting.
Just a reminder that we are running a sale on the EXP Patreon to celebrate EXP's first birthday. 50% off all new memberships when using code BIRTHDAY at checkout, or you can get 3 months free with an annual subscription, which means you can get access to over an entire year's worth of extended Director's Cut episodes, EXP Discord access, and exclusive Patreon content for half price all the way up until the end of February. We've also got a sale on our merch, 10% off all orders on expvideo.info, including our limited edition birthday t-shirt using code BIRTHDAY10. Every single patron and every piece of merch sold goes a huge way into supporting EXP, so we thank you for checking out those links in the description. But now we'll get back into the video.
Couple of guns in that shot there, and I'm not sure I remember seeing either of those, but so this is where we get, I'm guessing, the armourer, because I'm sure a lot of these, even if they're not firing them with blank ammo, some of these are almost certain to be, in fact, they just are real guns. I think you could go hunting for airsoft replicas or whatever, or use just rubber stunts. Rubber stunts now are so good. There was an Instagram post from Bapti recently with an MP5. And honestly, you wouldn't have known it wasn't a real MP5 until they sort of went, ha on the magazine. It didn't make that noise. It did in my head. But yeah, it's really, really good. And I guess a lot of it's down to the paint job, but also the fidelity of the mold. And not like the old days where you'd see some, well, I say old days, right now, in other productions, you'll see stuff that looks visibly rubber. So the first one I saw there was actually this. The Smith & Wesson M76. This is the sort of US interpretation of the Carl Gustav, so-called Swedish K, sort of made a bit more Gucci, and importantly made in the US where they could obtain them, not having to rely on overseas supply. It's very skinny, surprisingly skinny, for a tube-based blowback submachine gun. So it is, I think it's quite distinctive on camera. And then very quickly after that, and ours is missing its heat shield, like a sort of gun corset, really. You'd have seen them before on other guns, or on these. The suppressed Sten guns had them as well. Webbing, laced up, and then under there is typically asbestos string, which is why someone in the past has taken this one off. Quite how he's got hold of it, who knows, but why not? They were made in America. So we have the M3 version, not the A1. So the A1 is the with the old now you're firing, now you ain't thing from Fury. You just stick your finger in there and crank the bolt back. Well, the traditional M3 had a crank handle to get the bolt cranked back, and then it sprung forward again. This one is so greasy that the bolt moved forward at ridiculously slow speeds there. And the whole barrel assembly threads off, a bit like a Sten gun, and you can put that suppressed barrel assembly on a non-suppressed gun if you wanted to. They're not marked up or they're not different in any way. They're just fitted with that from the factory. So one World War II firearm and one 60s vintage one.
We start to see some Chinese assault rifles pop up as well, which is interesting because there was never any Chinese assault rifles in Fallout New Vegas.
It's especially interesting when you consider a scene that I'm imagining I'm going to see shortly, where there really ought to be Chinese assault rifles, and there aren't. And this is kind of what I'm getting at with the filming of things doesn't always go as the original designer intends. So they will have made these Chinese assault rifles, which I didn't even notice watching this the first time, fully expecting that they get used in the right context in the production, and then someone's given them to Caesar's Legion and not to the Chinese contingent in the flashback. I'm sure, I dare say there's an artist who's a bit annoyed about that.
Yeah, well, it's an iconic design for the Fallout franchise, so I'm glad it's there, but it's just sort of bleeding into the background a bit, and it's just another Easter egg, and we're just pedants, really.
Yes, absolutely. That's what this is all about. Oh my word, what's that? Didn't spot that at all.
Is that an AR-15 with an oil filter on it?
It's definitely an AR front sight block, but there's something funky going on with the barrel. There's something attached to the barrel, I think. I think it is an AR and a giant oil filter suppressor, yeah. I don't know if we get to see the back of it at any point.
That's the only time it appears in the... It looks like it almost has an AKM or MP40 folding stock. Wait, is it an MP40? if you look at the rear where it's sort of silver, it almost looks MP40-ish with like a wrap and a leather strap as a foregrip. I don't know. It's got all sorts over it, but it was mostly the muzzle that just made it jump out of the screen at me.
It's hard to tell what's actually just his kit and armor and what might be bits of the gun. It certainly doesn't look like it can be a real AR because it's not long enough, unless it's been bullpupped. But I don't think so. Honestly, I'd guess it is a mashup of stuff. The barrel, if the stuff stuck to the barrel, then the barrel could be consistent with like an M16A1 or something. Front sight block certainly is. What should be the handguard directly behind it seems to be sitting too low to be an AR handguard. I think it's probably a kit bash. It wouldn't be Fallout without a ghoul charging at you in the dark, would it?
Yeah, it's less scary when you're wearing this, though.
It is. So Maximus has got the thing that's the M240 mashed up with other stuff that we looked at in the games. I can't remember the name of.
In this scene, Maximus is using the Desert Eagle, but longer.
Yeah, it's the other guy that's got the long gun, yeah.
The other Brotherhood of Steel member is using the assault rifle from the Fallout 4 design, which is like a cooling jacket of a Lewis gun, an M249 handguard.
249, not 240, that's right.
Which people have rightly, shared their thoughts about the design in Fallout 4. I think it works so much better in the TV show. I think it just blends in with the rest of the stuff a bit better in the TV show. Maybe it's because it's only being used by Brotherhood of Steel members in, I nearly said Terminator armor, in Power Armour.
Yeah, I didn't give it a second thought, really. It shows up in Season 1 fairly prominently, doesn't it? The pistol is what, sorry?
The pistol is a Desert Eagle.
Oh, God, yeah. I just about see the back of the slide there with the safety.
Yeah, with a giant sort of frame over it that goes all the way back behind the hammer.
Interesting. I did not notice this watching the show. Now, clearly, CGI muzzle flash. There's no way for the cases to eject if it was a real gun. Why build props on replica firearms? I guess it gives you a starting point. Is that a reference to the pistol in the... Hang on, there is a Desert Eagle-inspired pistol in Fallout 4, isn't there? Isn't there one that has visible bits of Deagle? Or am I losing the plot? It's been several years since I played Fallout 4.
You might be thinking of the 10mm pistol that has very exaggerated slide serrations.
Maybe. There's a lot of general mush going on in my brain today. Now, this is the scene I keep coming back to whenever we see a bit of an AK, or especially those Chinese assault rifles, because it's the actual Chinese people finally have shown up in the series, and you fully expect to see them with Chinese assault rifles, but they don't. Yeah, so the Chinese troops are in fact using traditional Kalashnikov rifles, AK-47s if you will. Having looked at this in a bit of detail, you can observe the enclosed front sight of a Type 56. Stamped receiver Type 56. A change that was made to the Chinese version of the AK without changing the designation. They just moved over to their equivalent of the AKM. It's not actually AKM pattern in detail, but it's close. And they just carried on calling it Type 56. They didn't change the designation. Changes in designation refer to the type of buttstock. Now, I didn't notice there, actually, because I was fixated on the sight, whether these have the folding bayonet on there or not. I don't know if they do, but they certainly have I was going to say anachronistic then. It's not anachronistic, but a light added for dramatic effect, I guess, which you could tape onto an AK if you wanted to. And that kind of makes it a bit harder to spot what's going on under here. There will be either the bayonet or the bayonet lug swivel mounting point. Sometimes you come across these where the bayonet's been removed and you still have this sort of diagnostic bit here. And is it with the bayonet extended?
I think you need more than a few Type 56s against a Deathclaw anyway.
Yes, I think my preferred method of dealing with Deathclaws was the fat man. Just stand off and lob rounds in until they're dead.
I might be misremembering my Fallout lore, but because the Deathclaws were made by the US military, I think they were trained to recognize the scent of American soldiers and not attack them. But I don't know if that's actually ever documented anywhere, but they are American made these things.
Well, I did think, how has he not been opened up and eaten like canned meat by those things lying prone on the floor? But yeah, if they're trained to, I mean, you'd have to do that, wouldn't you? You've engineered these killing machine creatures.
I just remembered there's Enclave death claws that the Enclave can control, and as the Enclave were part of the American government and the American military, they're probably also under direct control from Enclave or the US anyway. So someone might have actually been controlling that death claw during all that.
Deep lore.
Fun lore hour with Dave Jewett.
I remember the rocket assisted hammer thing. I think I used it once in the game.
The Super Sledge.
I think they've been making good use of game stuff, including the weapons, where it's not too token. Especially this guy who is clearly showboating.
So to continue getting nerdy about Fallout as well, these Securitrons, their gun is 9mm. In the left arm, it's a 9mm submachine gun, and we know that because they drop 9mm ammo when you destroy them. And it's when they get upgraded, they get Gatling lasers, and they have missile pods in the shoulders. But I think these guys were pretty safe in their armor, considering they're just getting 9mm thrown their way.
Securitrons, and I think it goes with the sort of 50s retro future thing to have these Browning 1919 looking barrels poking out of the hands. Could you make a gun with that type of barrel shroud jacket thing that fires 9mm? Yes, of course you could. But if I was having to guess cold what the weapon was, I would have guessed a Browning series, a rifle caliber Browning.
Captain Rodriguez of the New California Republic.
These two kind of stay behind NCR types. I guess they're both Rangers, are they? Or he's a Ranger anyway.
Yeah, they would be both Rangers because they've got the cool helmet.
Now, so we've got a couple of bolt actions there, which I didn't really catch. Are they Springfields?
Yes, from what I could tell, the one on the hill at least is using a Springfield M1903 maybe.
Yeah, I think so. As the lens flare really doesn't help. You get a decent view of the action there. That looks very 1903. The scope held on with duct tape. I didn't notice before. I don't honestly. If your scope's held on with duct tape, just get rid of the scope. I guess an absolute ton of it wrapped really tightly might just allow you to get some value out of it. But yeah, the other thing throwing me off is I guess, but now we can see the action very clearly, is the cut down forend. So that traditionally military rifles had a full or near full stock. The 03 Springfield has a bit of barrel protruding with the sight on the end. This has been cut down, but that was done very commonly. In fact, collectors are not happy about how many rifles of various types got cut down for sporting use. However, there's the other rifle. And as I think I've said more than once, it's a very good sign that I'm enjoying something if I'm not paying enough attention to catch everything, gun-wise. And I don't remember seeing this. So in the background is the finest battle implement ever devised. General Patton actually did say that in a letter with scope and flash hider and cheek piece. This is the M1C. There are two very similar sniper Garens. Neither of them saw any service in the Second World War. They were being worked on at that time. And they ran concurrently, M1C and M1D. The C was scope mount affixed to the receiver, so you sort of modify the receiver to take it. The M1D was a sleeve over the barrel. In fact, the C is attached under the handguard here to the barrel itself, whereas the D model, which is what they ended up trying to standardize on, has just a sleeve that goes over the top, so you don't have to. It's quicker to make, cheaper to make, I guess. But both of them have the scope offset to the side because you've got to top load the Garand famously. The cheek piece is less about raising your eye line up because this is actually very low to the bore. It's actually about getting your head over to the left so that you can use the scope offset. Almost a throwback to those First World War sniper rifles where they were trying to allow troops to use clip loading. Now you have to use clip loading with the Garand realistically. So they had to stick the scope on the side. What looks like an 1887 shotgun cut down. There's an M1 or M2 carbine in there. 1897 shotgun. And what from memory, because I can't really see it right now, is an 1892, another M1 there as well, I think, is an 1892 Winchester in pistol mare's leg configuration. Bit like the Ghouls 1873, except it's not an 1873. Sorry, IMFDB editors. It's not an 1873. It's close, but with a little bit of inside knowledge, that is in fact an entirely prop item. This season, so far, just slung on his back. You don't actually get to see it out, but we see it more prominently in the scene in season 1 that we commented on before. And I am informed that he did in fact pick out the wrong ammunition. You remember we commented on, is that deliberate? That he's like, goes to load the wrong ammo? Yeah, apparently that actually happened and they left it in. It's a prop gun, based on the 1873, but one of the giveaways that is not a 73. So they actually scaled up the design of the 73, make it bigger, so closer to something like a Winchester 1876 rifle, I would say, but it's based on the 73. This contour here, as it were, so where the shape of the stock, where the stock becomes the receiver and then steps down to the flat sides, that bit there on Goggins's prop is way thicker. And the lever, the shape of the lever, the geometry of everything is slightly different. So they were inspired by the 73 because that's the iconic movie lever action, and they just went their own way and turned it into a sort of functioning prop, but it's not a firing weapon. But then for Lucy, she gets her version of the same weapon effectively, and it is what looks like a real 92 or a maybe an Italian copy of a 92, or a Brazilian for that matter, copy of a Winchester 92. That problem there, of course, you cut down the magazine tube to make the barrel shorter, you reduce the capacity to maybe 4, something like that, but it makes it, it's very cool at the very least. Might make more sense to have a pistol, but there you go.
I dropped a freeze frame here as he unholsters his revolver shotgun because A, glimpse of the sidearm, B, his belt buckle is some wonderful foreshadowing.
Oh, the Scorpion belt buckle. Yeah, that sidearm is very cool actually. It's so the MTS 255 Russian revolver shotgunny thing clearly is the inspiration for this, but this isn't it. This is an entirely custom prop, as his rifle is as well, or his lever action pistol effectively, designed by the production art team on the show and then sent to the prop people to realize and make and build. And there's some exotic materials, metal 3D printing used to make that. It's a work of art. I wonder if that's going to come up at some point and someone will end up with that in their collection. Wish it was us. Not sure it will be. But yeah, great example of something that I don't think is based on anything from the games.
No, we've never had anything like this in the games. In fact, they've now retroactively added this gun into, I think, 4 and Fallout 76 because of its appearance in the TV show.
So I think this is great. There are at least a couple of these in the show where they've come up. They're adding to the lore and to the
expanding the canon with a hand cannon. I love the sound effect of it.
That's a big part of the sort of personality of something like that. If such an object can have a personality. They must have had a lot of fun with the Foley on this show. They could have called it Fallout Splash for the amount of gross sound effects that there are. This is a left field choice. So the pistol she pulls out, she must have got from the Ranger's bag, is decidedly vintage by the time of the Fallout universe end of the world situation. This is the Mauser model 1914. You see the Mauser powder barrel logo there. That's what that is. It's meant to look like a barrel, which I guess by default contains gunpowder. This is quite a nice example. It's our second earliest one, if I remember rightly. Quite a distinctive look to it. And I guess if you've never come across it in sort of history terms, sort of does look a bit Fallouty. Quite an interesting, quite a quirky design for something that was made in quantity and used quite significantly. Needless to say, pretty old by the time frame of the show.
Speaking of old by the time of the show.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but was this in Fallout 4?
Yes, as the radium rifle that shoots irradiated .45 caliber ammunition.
Which is clearly what they're going for here. It's got, if not the same, then very similar gubbins.
Yeah, those capacitors on the side are meant to be gamma rounds. I think the implication is the 45 bullets are getting irradiated as they pass through the weapon.
It has a shorter magazine on it, which I think the game gun did as well. Yeah, visible capacitors and wires and stuff. My slight concern here, because this looks to be bang on to the real Gustloff Volkssturm Gewehr, often called the VG-15, which is actually incorrect. That looks like a real one. And my slight concern is they've stuck a load of Greeblies on a real one. I can't imagine that's true. I don't know. I know people are working on repros. I didn't know that there was one actually out there on the market. Maybe there is. I will say that the only difference I can see right now is that those spot welds on the side are not flush. Ours are. Barrel length is slightly different as well. So maybe that is a repro. I kind of hope it is. Because these things are quite rare and important. Ours, I have to be careful with it, has a crack in the stock here, which I think is not uncommon with these. These are blowback operated with a great big massive slide effectively wrapped around the barrel. Not the best form from Lucy there shooting that. She's kind of very determined, but she's looking over the top of the gun, not using the sight. Interesting. Yeah, I do remember the slow-mo. Now the bullet looks like the RIP design. That's like solid copper with the trocars that are supposed to petal off and do extra damage. But if this is meant to be like an irradiated bullet, I'm not sure why it needs to also be a fragmenting, extra damaging, hollow pointy type bullet. But it was a cool shot anyway. And we got the case ejection, bit of recoil, seemingly a bit of recoil and some smoke.
I found you in the ruins of Shady Sands.
Oh, what's the pistol?
This is... They've just recreated the laser pistol from Fallout 4.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I get mixed up with the laser pistol sometimes on this for the different games. Oh, like yeah, from the front. It's a bit more streamlined than the older games design, isn't it? It's the anti-monologue pistol. That design, as ever, does... What is it with energy weapons not having proper sight? It goes right back to the phaser and I guess loads of ray guns from early TV sci-fi. It's like somehow we don't need sights on our weapons if they're shooting lasers or whatever. I suppose Fallout has done that a bit with bullet firing weapons as well, but...
Okay, gotta go.
Since he's appeared shooting the 10mm pistol, I love the guy that's got the license plate in his forehead. That's so funny. Very Fallout. His head's held together with an old license plate.
Yeah, no, I appreciated the sort of what I sort of regard as the classic. I know it's not the classic, but 10mm pistol for how sci-fi it is. It's just so big and bulky and silly looking, but I like it in context.
Well, it was the old 10mm pistol that the Fallout 3 and the Fallout New Vegas 10mm pistol had the Desert Eagle design cues, and when they went to Fallout 4, they sort of redesigned a lot of that to what we're now seeing on screen in the Fallout TV show version.
Yeah, and was that a deliberate callback to the early games, like the menu icons from that or whatever? They're all similarly bulky though.
We saw the 10mm pistol in Fallout 1, the OG Fallout, was if I remember rightly, it was a magazine-fed revolver that was called the Colt 10mm pistol. Very weird sci-fi design, which does appear in Season 1.
Holy crow.
Ah, yes, the Arsenal. This is where I really was kind of peering at stuff, but I missed this. We've got a Johnson light machine gun there with its distinctive triangle front sight. Just as they come in through the door, it's in the foreground. And then a bit of a like Mr. Webley's barn arrangement of guns on racks. M2 50 cals, another pair of them in a mount. VZ58 and a Delisle carbine? I spotted the VZ58 last night.
Yeah, it definitely looks like a Delisle with that magazine, or the magazine housing.
Definitely. And then we've got another straight out of the game's energy weapon there.
This is the Gauss Rifle from Fallout 4, specifically with the shielded upgrade to it.
Okay, that I would not have picked up on, but yeah, we see that used to some effect later on in the episode. Our new Ghoul friend has a Kar 98K Mauser.
Whoever designed this, round of applause. I bloody adore the NCR Ranger power armor. It is the coolest thing. I love it. I always loved the power armor. I always loved the design of the NCR Rangers. The combination of the both. Chef's kiss.
Yeah, I have to agree. I was racking my brain to think whether this was something from the games or not, and I decided it probably wasn't. Yeah, so do you think this was designed for a game and has ended up in the show first? Or do you think it's designed for the show and it will end up in the games?
I think it will end up in the games. They've had the beefed up NCR Ranger riot armor from the Fallout New Vegas DLCs. They've gone even beyond that now with the power armor.
And it's not as though they've slapped a Ranger helmet onto one of the existing designs. This is clearly scratch designed to be a parallel. Like NCR, I guess, is successful enough where they've been able to make their own armor, or they found a prototype or something and modified it. Don't know what the lore is supposed to be, but it's its own thing. Yeah, that the other thing about that power armor is the weathering job they've done on that is spectacular. Where it looks genuinely worn, dinged up, a bit of rust in there.
And I like that there's been an expansion on the power armor's use in like melee, because they've had scaled up melee weapons for power armor users, but the gauntlets, bladed gauntlets against the Deathclaws, work so well.
They do, although considering the crazy stuff in that arm stash, he really should be hand wielding a 50 cal machine gun or something initially, and then going to the blades. I don't think he should have gone in with no weapons.
Which is doable. Fallout 76 has hand-wielded 50 cals.
If you were ever going to try and fire a recoil-operated 50 caliber machine gun from the hip, this is the way to do it.
You can see the one real gun part of the Gauss Rifle. Is it a PKM stock?
Well spotted. Yes, it is. Which is the same in the game, if I remember rightly. Now, I haven't got a great look to see if that's actually a PKM stock, or if it's like a fabricated copy of of the game one, in which case it wouldn't be. It looks like it is a PKM stock to me. Yeah, I'm still not getting a great view of that buttstock, but if anyone else wants to take a look on a bigger screen and let us know if you think that's a real PKM stock. In a way, it would be crazy if it was, because you'd be going to the trouble of finding that part and then making it fit, because it might not be quite the right scale and stuff for the design. I'm not sure. But the design from the game is a PKM buttstock, and they have replicated it here, one way or another. Good to see the sidearm get a use with an interesting non-lethal, well, semi-non-lethal usage.
Well, that was the Ghoul's last shot of the season, so officially he has not used his lever action, unless I've somehow missed it. But I went back and I said, I don't think I have. He's not used his lever action this entire time.
No, that rubber holster stuffer is... I don't think they've even featured the actual prop this season at all. It's just the... It's essentially costume this season, which is a shame.
We get to see the gentleman's friend reappear, nicely mirroring the two ends of the season.
Yeah, it's funny how prominent that's proper, and that's super prominent view of it there. Funny how prominent that ends up being, despite not being really very Fallout-y. I mean, it kind of feels like it is now that it's appeared, but it's not something that's been in the games, is it?
No, nothing that small.
And it really makes me wince, the scene where it gets slid across the floor.
The finish!
I said, that's an actual antique out loud. And then my common sense kicked in. I went, no, it's not. That will be a rubber one that they've done that with, and it's a sound effect in post. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
You were just immersed.
What weapons activated? Hot dog.
Hot dog indeed.
We thought those might be missile racks, and lo and behold.
It seems like he didn't know that, though, which is a bit odd. If he didn't know that this thing had built-in weaponry, he went out there with the arm blades only, confidently tackling multiple Deathclaws, took one on no problem, and then started having real problems. You'd think he might have looked at what was on the suit. Unless I'm missing some plot point here. He went out there very bravely, essentially unarmed, despite there being a warehouse full of guns. Like we talked about, maybe he could have hit-fired the 50. Take something with you. I mean, we've got our not Ghoul friend on the roof with a bloody Springfield sniper rifle doing serious damage to Deathclaws with that. why are you not carrying a gun? Use the gun, then go to the blades. That was my major take home from...
Well, we completely forgot to mention, after episode 7, that there was a fat man in that shed as well. Maybe they didn't have any mini nukes, but that could have cleared out a good half dozen of them.
Don't believe I even noticed that.
It's you just see the sort of frame of it in the foreground of like the just like the housing where the mini nuke is launched from.
Yeah, I think we have to assume that they looked at that and there was no ammunition for it, I guess, and that's just an Easter egg for the fans. But despite that being my second time seeing that scene, I didn't notice it. But there's plenty of other stuff in there that would have worked. So without harping too much, because I know they've done it for sort of the drama of it. Yeah, fine. Rocket launchers, why not? And then we have another. Is that another rocket launcher? It wasn't really clear to me. It was they went for a very wide shot there.
Yeah, it looks like some sort of rocket munition, but because of the sound effect and the blast of air, my first thought was, is it like a junk jet-esque pneumatic weapon?
Just before we get to that shot, there's a great shot of the backpack launcher, and you get the backblast of the rocket missile thing through the bottom of the backpack. I don't think I've seen that before. So they've referenced an RPG or some real weapon and thought, well, if this is launching, then you don't want something like rocking you back if you're trying to aim or look at something or do whatever in your power armor. So we'll make it recoilless by having the backblast go through the pack. So it looks like, and this might be the reference, it could look more like one, but it looks like a rocket pod from an aircraft, where you see the nose of the munitions in the front and there's holes in the back, and when they fire, the blast comes out the back to equalize the recoil of the thing going forward. So that's a cool detail I sort of missed. I think I was probably looking at the Deathclaw when we watched the episode.
This is the grossest use of a bolt-action rifle I think I've ever seen.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like they tried to outdo the internet there.
Points for creativity. I didn't expect it.
No. It should be one of those kind of heroic moments where you sort of cheer on the helpful character, but it's so gross that could just don't bother. I'm sure he'll be fine.
Hell of a shot. He nails it in the eye using his toe as a rifle rest. Also, if he fires more than a few rounds, after a couple stripper clips, that toe is going to start cooking.
Oh God! Oh no! I hadn't even thought about the heat, but oh God!
That's going to sizzle.
Oh no! Stop! There's one thing worse than gross Fallout feet. It's burned
cooking ones. Well, he's near the Ultralux, so someone will eat it.
I just no. This has gone in directions that I wish it hadn't.
Let's take back our town.
Bless him for trying with his pump action. Yeah, that shotgun. That's a good view of it. Yeah, his shotgun there, I must admit, threw me off, because even though we looked at and talked about the Winchester 1912 that was in the crater, and this does look very, very that, something doesn't quite look right about it to me. It seems like he's not a small man, and that still looks very chunky. So I wonder if it's not a 12 gauge, or, I mean, looking at the detail of the receiver, where the magazine tube meets it, it's got the right design cues of a 1912, but to me, they don't look exactly the same. It's almost like looking at a video game version of a gun that hasn't quite nailed it. So I wonder if this is a scratch-built prop for some reason, although I'm not sure why they would, or if I am just overthinking it and it's just because it's through a dirty window. By the way, impressive amounts of plate glass surviving for 200 years into the nuclear apocalypse. I don't remember this much glass in the games, but it's clearly a functional thing. It's not, if it is different, it's not because it's a rubber stunt gun, because he does rack the thing. I might be just overthinking this.
I got goosebumps when this scene happened.
I do love that zoom out along the barrel. Well,
they've done a great job mirroring the shot from the New Vegas intro when it pulls away from Vegas as well. They're so good.
That whole shot is gold. Like, in fact, the shot before it, where Thaddeus is going, just a little bit of comedy. Like you've got the sort of surprise of, you know, something's going to have to intervene on some level, but you're still thinking, well, who and how? They've really rammed home that the NCR are gone from this part of the world. And so when one shows up in pristine Ranger gear with an iconic, let's use that word, I think it's appropriate, weapon from New Vegas, and then you get as you say, a replicated shot, which was not my first thought. I haven't seen that for so long. I just thought it was a really good shot, and then I saw that it was a replicated shot. That's great too. And then you track the bullet coming out, and it just does plausible massive damage to the Deathclaw's head. And okay, so if he's, and then you're thinking through what's going on. I'm thinking, is that the actual anti-material rifle?
I thought it was Courier 6 because I wondered if they would make an appearance. And then you think, oh no. Start hearing them marching, and then more turn up, then the flag. Oh, so good.
So you were thinking it was a game protagonist?
I was wondering if that was going to be a nod to it. And then I was like, it's the NCR is actually returning, which great considering what else is on its way.
Yeah, I'm sure fans were predicting this, but I was totally surprised that it happened. I think it did a good job of selling the whole thing. And what better way to introduce them than with a weapon type that we haven't seen in the series so far, that a lot of people remember. In fact, I went straight up and looked at Forgotten Weapons. And here we run into the pronunciation thing with this weapon. In French, with the accent and the way French works, it's ECAT. The number refers to the second iteration, but the first was a prototype. So it's not like there was another one of these in service beforehand, which is usually the way when there's a Mark II or a number 2 or whatever after something. It's not that. But it's the French version of the Greek name, the Greek goddess, which in English has been Hecate, apparently, but we would normally use the pseudo-Greek pronunciation of Hecate, and she is goddess of various things, boundaries, interestingly. I didn't actually know till I looked this up. Let me risk a hernia to actually get this thing on camera. So I guess the way to think about this, as opposed to something like the much more famous Barrett, is that it is actually a sniper rifle. The Barrett is a much more agricultural piece of kit, in theory, although people have done some incredible long-range shooting with it. But it's more about punching holes in vehicles, aircraft, fuel tanks, radar, blowing up mines in the ground, that kind of thing. It's not really intended for engaging personnel at distance. This thing was, albeit personnel in vehicles or behind cover, that kind of thing. Ours is in pretty much Fallout configuration as well, because it's the original, well, I guess ours is 1980s, with the wooden furniture, no Picatinny. It has a proprietary scope rail on there. And actually, I think, and what I do love is, so that distinctive shape of muzzle brake, you do see that prominently on the Ranger's back, even if rather him than me, because this thing is super heavy. And I wouldn't want to sling that on my back, and it wouldn't really be logically carried that way. It does have a nice carrying handle on it. Not that these things aren't carried on the back, but it would usually be broken down in a big backpack. Slinging it on your back would be extremely uncomfortable. And when I went to look at the Hecate on Forgotten Weapons, the comments from 5 years previously were all Fallout references, including how effective it is against Deathclaws.
Yeah, if you head to Quarry Junction, this is the gun to take.
Absolutely, I know I did. Last time I said I used the Fat Man, I did, but it was the Fat Man and the AMR, because obviously you can only carry so much Fat Man ammunition. Yep, brilliant weapon to introduce. Real kind of crowd pleaser, but also something that works for. I think that's what they've done so well with this series, is that there are lots of those. There's lots of fan service, but I don't think it never tips over into gratuity or something sort of incongruous that makes you roll your eyes, and that's quite rare these days, where we have a lot of kind of fan-pleasing stuff that can detract from a show. And that's, as you've said, this is like a gateway drug for people. You can just watch the show and leave it at that, or you can go, oh, this is a really fascinating universe. I want to start playing some of the games, and this is a great way in. You've got the setting of New Vegas. You've got the kind of arguably more refined production design of Fallout 4 and 76, drawing on the whole thing to create something new and interesting that is not doing a Walking Dead and remaking the story of the source material. It's living in the same universe as the source material. That's relatively unusual. You know, you normally have separate canon, effectively, for things like comics and game adaptations of existing visual media like this, video, you know, film and TV. This is an ambitious sort of project that we're enjoying. Talking about how he's carrying it on his back and not using the carrying handle, this giant bracket on the barrel here, which is literally just clamped on, screwed on for the carrying handle, is there, but the handle itself isn't, so he can't carry it. Yeah, so that's why it's on the back, I guess. But so, you know, the more that you look at it, the more detail you can see. It's actually a slightly different scope than we've got, interestingly. It has an extra adjustment turret on there. So this is the Scrom, I guess it's pronounced. Sorry, French people. A Parisian company that makes the original optic for the also known as the FR-12.7, or 12.7, I should say. So different scope, but otherwise, I believe it is the correct generation of rifle, which was the inspiration for the actual Fallout version. There's something about the mixture of the kind of black and grey faceted metal, because this is like a chassis-based system, and the wood. You know, it's got a bit of WA-2000 retro future vibe to it, which is perfect for this.
Thank you all for watching. Let us know in the comment section below what movies, TV shows, or games you would like to see on the show in the future. Like the video if you enjoyed, and of course, subscribe. As always, a huge shout out to all of our wonderful supporters over on the Patreon, without whom we couldn't make cool content like this. Links to support Jonathan and the Royal Armouries will also be in the description, so make sure you check those out and show them some love as well. But until next episode, thank you all so much for being here, and we will see you very soon.